had lived in this building for over 12 years. No problems, nothing, until we got a new super about 6 years ago. And he was very sort of brutish, not a lot of social graces. He would sort of demand things. And he and I I don't like people that behave like that. You know, I like people that are nice and they're kind and they're gracious. Everybody complained about him, but he got the job done. So there were like a little couple incidents where the woman below me, who we later found out through Rachel, when I moved in here and we were doing work, she kept complaining about noise. Chinese woman who complained that I was noisy. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not a noisy person, okay? I do my thing. Sure, every now and then I have people come over, you know, I have friends, okay? But what they found out, and which I thought was genius work on the part of Rachel, was that when we did the renovation here, because we gutted the whole apartment, and she saw me, when are you gonna be finished? I said, we'll be finished when we're finished. It's like, I'm really sorry, but I got all the permits and permission. And I was really nice to her. But she complained umpteen times to the management. And then they found out when they did research that there had been nobody working in here for 10 days and she was complaining about noise. I was on my way to go to the Caribbean for an event, and I forgot my passport. It was a good thing I did, because I came home and the next day there was an eviction notice on my door for no reason at all. So I called him, I think it was that day, and I got him on the phone. And I told him, but Adam was tough on me, reduced me to tears, because he was testing me. He wanted to see how much I wanted it. And so the next time I spoke to him, I said, were you testing me? And he said, yes. And I said, well, how did I do? He said, great. But he first of all wrote to the board, I guess, you know, and then he knew their lawyer. So finally we did the board meeting in January of 2016. Okay, meanwhile, no work has been done in my apartment. And at this board meeting, he said, he told me what to wear, you know, and when I showed up, he was like, you look perfect. He said, Mara, if you open your mouth, I'm leaving. I said, don't worry. And we had poker face. He just poker face. Don't look, just sit there, let me do all the talking. Don't open your mouth, don't make any expression. And so my mom and I did. And he started out so well. His opening was brilliant. And they just in silence. Nobody said anything. And then when he did that thing, this was so great. This was Rachel's research about one of the board members not paying maintenance while his apartment was being fixed and he wasn't living here. When I heard that, it was hard for me to keep my emotions to myself, but I did. I'm a good actress. But I was like, wow, Rachel, you did an amazing job. Pardon my French. That was great research. They decided they weren't going to vote because I think they knew that the case we had against them was pretty cut and dry. But Rachel was lovely. She reassured me. The thing is Adam is very tough, and he can be a little heartless at times, but he's really good. He knows his stuff. In fact, I recommended him to a number of people. And I last night had dinner with a friend of mine whose mother-in-law went through this horrible thing with her co-op, but they obviously didn't have a good lawyer. I said, too bad I didn't know. I would have recommended Adam. I recommended him to a few people. And the funniest thing was I was flying home to LA, and this woman, she was with two guys she works with, and we all started laughing. We were talking, and it turned out she was Rosario Dawson's mother. And I told her, this has been a really hard time for me. My dad's been in the hospital and this and that, and they're trying to evict me from my apartment. This has been the worst time for me. And she said, do you have a good lawyer? And I said, I believe so. She said, is it Adam Lightman Bailey? I said, yes. How do you? She goes, oh, you're going to win. You're going to win. And I said, how do you know? She goes, he's the best. I've used him. you know, and she was so sweet. She came to sit next to me for a while, and we started talking, and she told me who she was. I didn't know who she was then. She goes, she told me her name, and I said, oh, are you any relation to Rosario Dawson? And she said, yeah, that's my daughter. And I said, no way. I said, I work in the entertainment business. I love her. No, she was like, you're in good hands. You're going to win. You're going to win. I said, from your lips to God's ears. And, you know, he didn't, you know, because lawyers can be sort of sued if they give you too much promise. And he was always very negative with me. But I'm a negative person, so I was always like, don't, you know, I have to be fed more positive. And Rachel was so positive, and so she goes, you're in really good hands. You know, she was like the yin and the yang, you know, she had the softness, and then he's the tough guy, but she balances. And super smart. No, but I would recommend him to anybody that has real estate problems.